Hello, this is Greg Kite, the host of Regenerated Radio. Of course, if you are on this page and seeing this video, you probably have noticed that there have been some changes afoot, that Regenerated Radio is not the page that you're seeing this on. Well, I wanted to explain what some of those changes were tonight, why exactly you're seeing this rebranding, and what exactly this channel holds for the future. I want to set the tone a little bit for what I'm going to be doing with this channel and with my own sort of online presence, generally speaking, over the course of the next couple of years, or at least so I hope. And so Regenerated Radio was just an incredible podcast for what it was for me at the time of life when it was occurring. You know, it went for about 5 years off and on, and during that time I was able to interview, in my opinion, some of the brightest minds on the face of the planet regarding theology. Some of these people came in and just absolutely blew my mind, and I was so grateful to be able to speak with them and continue to this day to have conversations with them, to be able to reach out whenever necessary. It's incredible to me to know that in Christianity, the brightest thinkers are accessible. They want you to reach out to them. They want to share their knowledge because they know what they have been given is a good deposit of a great treasure, and they're so freely willing to give of that treasure. And so Regenerated Radio was a product of that. It was really wonderful to be able to speak to those kinds of people. And then, of course, as we transitioned in that last season with Lawson Harlow and Wes Russell, I'm so grateful that they came on as well. And we had some wonderful discussions. And that none of that's going to go away. All of that's going to remain on YouTube. And so you can always go and find all of those podcast videos on there. But you have been seeing, hopefully, some new logos and some new branding under the name of Truth Vindicated. And so moving forward, I want to take this channel in a new direction. It's going to be a lot more individual, a lot more just things off of my head and on my mind, rather than trying to source it out to other conversations and bring in co-hosts and things like that. It's going to be something that I'm doing really more or less on my own, which is why you're seeing even something like this on a phone video with a little Rode mic that I bought today, just trying to work through some of these technical things so that it will be easier for me to make the kinds of videos and the kinds of content that I think is necessary for our time now. You know, over the course of the last month or so, there's been some pretty major shifts in evangelicalism. Not necessarily shifts so much as just changes of mindset. And what I've noticed is that people are much more willing than ever to speak about their beliefs. And in an age where we're all online, in an age where there are people in a whole generation that live practically entirely on YouTube and TikTok, there are too few voices, too few Orthodox Christian voices, and particularly, ironically, within the particular Baptist tradition, that are out there trying to engage those people to defend the faith against those who would attack it, and to ultimately teach good doctrine, to guard the good deposit that's been entrusted to us, and then to administer those wonderful truths to the people who so desperately need it online. It was not long ago I was listening to a YouTube video by Gavin Ortland of Truth Unites. And whatever your take on Gavin is, he put out an incredible call to action that stirred me a little bit. He had mentioned that, there's too few people who have, that are of the right age, mid 30s or so. They have maybe ministry experience or academic experience to be able to do some of this kind of work. They have the technical know-how on how to actually operate YouTube and TikTok and Instagram and all of that kind of stuff, and the boldness to go out and do it. And so when he was saying those things, it just felt like he was talking directly to me. Like I'm all of those things, for better or worse. And so I think it would be really beneficial for me to use a little bit of my time and my skills that the Lord has given me to pour into this sort of online apologetics and teaching community. And so that's my goal with this channel, Truth Vindicated. And that's why it's been rebranded as such. It needs to be something completely different than Regenerated Radio. And yet I wanted to make sure that I didn't lose all of the people who had been following along already. And so I've just sort of rebranded the channels, and you're seeing all of those logos and banners and stuff like that popping up. And you'll continue to see those things as I continue to learn how exactly to navigate this new space, because podcasting is a little bit different than the world of like YouTube apologetics, if you will. It is different. It is something you can do a little bit more, I guess, self-contained when you're podcasting, but you need to be engaging. There's a lot to do in apologetics. And so I have really three goals with Truth Vindicated, this new endeavor that I'm embarking on. And I want to explain what those three goals are, or at least three focuses. The first is apologetics. And so Apologetics, if you don't know, is just a word that means to give a defense. It's a defense of the faith in this particular case, and you can see the word apologia in 1 Peter 3:15, where it says that you must always be ready to give a defense for the hope that is within you. And so apologetics is just a realm of defending the faith against those who would seek to tear it down, against those who are skeptics even and aren't seeking to tear it down, but just want to try to poke holes in it. You need to be able to give a proper intellectual and reasoned defense of the faith. And I think that I've been equipped fairly well to be able to do that. And so that's one of my goals, is to sort of take on all comers as possible in order to defend the faith against false systems of belief, from atheism to Islam to the cults like Mormonism and Jehovah's Witnesses and so on and so forth. I want to be able to take time to answer those questions. And even within evangelicalism itself, we have so many different little sects and problems that need to be addressed, and people who have different beliefs about how we are to go about exercising our faith. And so that's something that I want to be able to speak to as well. And so that's one of my goals, is to work into the realm of apologetics in particular. And I want to do it in a way that is that's charitable, that steel man's, not straw man's, its opponents. Because I think far too many online apologists are just, they seek to be firebrands, and that's not good. I don't think that's helpful in many ways either. And so the best arguments, the best debates are the ones that are actually saying, "Come, let us reason together." And so that's my goal. I want to make sure that it is charitable, and that there's nuance where there needs to be nuance, but that certainly there is a firmness and conviction to what I'm speaking about on any given episode, on any given video or piece of content that gets put out. And so the first one was apologetics. The second one that I want to focus on is doctrine. So another focus is just teaching, specifically doctrine from the lens of a particular Baptist. I would consider myself a particular Baptist or a Baptistic Congregationalist. I could label myself any number of ways. Some people would call me a 1689er. I don't particularly love the term because, unfortunately, a lot of people who are called 1689ers don't really have the best track record of speaking well to others. And so I want to buck that trend a little bit. But more importantly, I think that the sort of 17th century confessionally reformed Baptist lens is one that we don't have enough of here on the online space. There's not a lot of people who are sort of coming at it from that tradition. And so I really want to be that voice if I can be, and be able to represent it well. And so that's one of my goals. And that's actually part of the reason why it's called Truth Vindicated. It comes from the beginning of the opener to the first London Confession of Faith that was penned in 1646, I believe, 1644, and then 1646 as a revision. And in that opening, the particular Baptists of that era had written it, saying that this letter is written, or this confession is written for the vindication of the truth. That they would not be called Anabaptists because that wasn't what they were, and they wanted to defend themselves against charges from other groups that were calling them Anabaptists. And so, in the same way, I want to put forward the truth, and I know that truth will be vindicated by Christ, and that's why you see that reference to the psalm there as well on the logo. So, apologetics, doctrine, and then finally preaching. One thing that I seek to do more now that I'm in a different position back here in Houston is go out and do more preaching on the streets. And I want that to be a staple of this channel as well. So that's something that I'm still working on, the best way of doing that, and kind of getting our church mobilized in some of those things. But I want to be able to, to put street preaching in view of people, because unfortunately, that's just fallen by the wayside. Charles Spurgeon has a great little letter on open air preaching, and that's something that I think more people need to read and understand. It's such an effective tool, and it's been the primary cause of so much of the world's awakenings and revivals. And so I want that to be put front and center on this page as much as possible as well. And not only street preaching, I also want to just highlight other preaching, other good expositors of the word, people that you would never have heard of, but that you might just stumble on. And so that's something that I'll be asking for some crowdsourcing on in just a minute here. But I want the preaching of the word, which is the power of God unto salvation, the preaching of the gospel. I want that to be front and center on this page as well. So you'll see street preaching, and you'll see sort of reviews of expository sermons from other people, again, who maybe have never heard of, but maybe you should have heard of them. Maybe you need to hear of them, and maybe they can be a balm to your soul. So that's the goal, and I hope that you'll follow along in this little journey. it's a new thing for me, and I'm not sure exactly how I'm going to navigate it. But so I could use your prayers. I'd appreciate your prayers. And then, of course, just by way of crowdsourcing, if you have videos of sermons and people who maybe it's your pastor, maybe you're far away from me, and your pastor preached an incredible sermon. I would love to hear it. I listen to a lot of sermons during the week, and so it would be good for me to be able to do that and then highlight them in public on a page like this. Or maybe it's a video that you want me to respond to apologetically, that I might go forward and say, well, here's something that's some claim that's been put forward. Let me respond to it from the Christian worldview. So I'm happy to do all of those things. So if you want to send me videos, please, by all means, feel free to DM me on whatever platform you're on. But I'm happy to be able to do something like this. I've been trying to figure out the best way to do it, especially since I'm not even in my own home at the moment. So that's something else that you can pray for us for. But once we get into that place, I'll be able to get a little bit more of a permanent studio to work on some of these kinds of things. But in the meantime, I didn't want to stop. I didn't want to just like not do this until we got into a place like that. There's no need to wait whenever I can do this on my phone from pretty much anywhere. So happy to start. And if you guys have any questions, if you have anything that you'd like to talk to me about, by all means, feel free to reach out. And I'm looking forward to continuing this journey, and I hope that you will follow along. So thanks for watching, guys. We'll see you next time on Truth Vindicated.